We play and call it work.
Hey folks, Janene from MiniWarGaming here with another how-to video for you. In this video, we are going to continue work on this Archaon Everchosen mini, and we are going to paint the horns and the spine on this Nurgle head. As always, if you have suggestions for something you'd like to see in a future how-to video, please leave it down below in the comments. We're going to use a lot of the same colors we used with the teeth. We're going to begin by base coating everything with a layer of dryad bark. We're going to begin by doing a heavy dry brush on these horns. I want the horns to be slightly darker than the spine, and so doing this first layer as a dry brush is going to let me keep a little bit of the black underneath so that it has darker undertones to it. Once we finish dry brushing the horns, we're going to use a little bit of Lamian Medium and mix that into our paint. And then we are going to switch to a more traditional brush and paint this all over this spine in the back. Here's the model after we finished our base coat of dryad bark. Our next color is going to be Gore Brown. Again, I'd like to apply this as a dry brush over the horns. I mainly want to concentrate on the top of all of the sculpted ridges. After we finished our dry brush on the horns, we are going to mix a little bit of Lamian Medium into our paint and apply it along the back of the spine as well. We're still concentrating on the same areas. We want to put this heavily on all of the ridges of this spinal column, leaving the dryad bark in the darker recesses. After we finish with our Gore Brown, we're going to do a highlight of Bane Blade Brown. I'm not applying this color as a dry brush. I'm going straight to my detail brush, and I'm using this to really apply a fine line highlight on all of the ridges of these horns. I want to make sure that I draw that color all the way up into the tip. There's also a sculpted bump where the horn transitions into the head, and I want to highlight that as well. Just really using this color to begin to exaggerate all of the sculpted textures that are already present on the mini. As we move on to painting the spinal column, I want to make sure that I highlight the top of all of these ridges on each of the spinal sections. I also want to highlight a thin line on each piece of bone as it breaks into separate pieces of the actual spine. Here is the mini after that Bane Blade Brown. This is as bright as we went with the teeth. However, for the horns and the spinal column, we want to go a little bit brighter, especially with the spinal column. We're going to go a lot brighter in that area. Our next color is going to be Sandra Dust. I'm really just applying this color to the very top of each of these ridges on the horns, doing things like outlining this lower edge where the horn breaks off and has a little bit of a circle, or all of the points where it's sharpest. Also, there's a few areas where the sharp lines on these horns meet together, and I want to highlight that area as well. I'm applying this color on the tip of each of these spikes on the spinal column, and also that line where the pieces of the spine begin and end. Here's the mini after that Sandra Dust has been applied. Our next highlight is going to be Tbone. Because I want these horns on the front to remain very dark, I'm really just using this as a small dot on the areas that I want to be the brightest. So the very tip of each of these points, all of those areas where the lines transition to each other, and the rounded nodules where the horn meets into the head. I'm applying this color a little bit more heavily on this back spinal column. I want to do a thin line all the way along these spikes. And then I'm dotting this on all of the transitions between the different pieces. Here are the horns after that Tbone highlight. You can see that even though I've used the same colors for both areas of the mini, because I've applied them more heavily on the spinal column, it's a lot brighter than the horns. They have remained really dark. Our next color is going to be Agrax Earthshade. I'm going to use this color to deepen the shadows. I'm going to be applying it in basically all the areas that I didn't really highlight super brightly. So especially the areas that I just painted with Tbone, I'm going to avoid those, but I want to put this shade basically everywhere else just so it deepens the brown. Here's everything after the Agrax Earthshade has dried. I want to go back with my Tbone, and I'm just going to clean up my highlight a little bit from this Agrax Earthshade step. I just want to make sure that I don't lose any of the brightness and the shine from this final highlight at the top. After that last little bit of Tbone, the horns and the bone are complete. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see more how-to videos, I have another one where I go through the steps of painting the inside of this Tzeentch mouth in the MiniWarGaming Vault in the link down below in the description. If you don't already have a Vault membership, you can go ahead and click the link, sign up for a 7-day free trial, and get access to my video as well as hundreds of other videos in the MiniWarGaming Vault. So go ahead, click the link, start your free trial, and happy wargaming!